Welcome to Kelowna, a city between water and hills. This map shows a city that grew in a very specific place for a very simple reason: water. Kelowna sits beside Okanagan Lake in the Okanagan Valley. Long before highways, malls, or golf courses appeared, this lake decided where people would live. If you want to understand Kelowna, start with the lake on the left side of the map. Everything else grows outward from there. The lake, Kelowna's original highway. Today the lake looks peaceful. Boats, beaches, maybe a paddle board or two. But in the late 1800s, the lake was the main transportation corridor. Before roads reached the valley, paddle wheel steamships carried fruit, lumber, and people up and down the water. Settlements naturally formed along the shoreline. That is why early Kelowna clustered near what is now Waterfront Park and the downtown grid nearby. In other words, the city did not start inland, it started where boats could stop. Downtown, the grid that tried to be organized. Look near the large red Kelowna label. You will see a tight grid of streets, straight lines, neat blocks, very optimistic planning. This is downtown Kelowna. It reflects a common North American idea. If you build a grid, everything will make sense. Of course, real life rarely cooperates. The grid works well near the lake, but as you move outward, the road starts bending around hills, creeks, and neighborhoods that arrive later. Cities often start orderly and then slowly become creative. Parks and green spaces, the breathing rooms. Notice the green spaces scattered through the map. Places like Parkinson Recreation Park, Dilworth Mountain Park, and Mission Creek Regional Park. These areas are not just pretty scenery, they preserve pieces of the valley's natural landscape. The Okanagan region has grasslands, wetlands, and creek systems that predate the city by thousands of years. Urban planners wisely decided that not every square meter should become a parking lot. A radical idea, apparently. Dilworth Mountain. Geography interrupts the grid. Look towards the upper right on the map. That large green area labeled Dilworth Mountain Park reveals something important about Kelowna's geography. The city is squeezed between lake and hills. Those hills shape road patterns and neighborhoods. Streets twist, curve, and sometimes look confused. That is what happens when urban planning meets topography. The mountain wins most arguments. The shopping corridor, where cars rule. Now look along Harvey Avenue, which runs east to west across the map. This road acts like the city's commercial spine. Along it you see places such as Orchid Park Shopping Center, Capri Center Mall, and Spall Plaza. These clusters tell a modern urban story. As cars become dominant after the 1950s, retail followed the major roadways rather than staying strictly downtown. Shopping moved outward, parking lots got bigger, the grid began surrendering to traffic patterns. Urban geography in action. Sports and community landmarks. Kelowna also likes its recreation. Look near the center of the map and you will find Apple Bowl Stadium. Nearby parks and fields support everything from local football to weekend soccer games. These places help define neighborhood identity. They also guarantee that at least one parent somewhere is late for practice. Again. Hospitals, schools, and the practical city. Down toward the lower left sits Kelowna General Hospital. Hospitals often appear near city centers but slightly away from dense commercial areas. They need access, space, and good road connections. Maps quietly show these decisions, if you know how to read them. Schools, parks, and hospitals create the everyday infrastructure of a city. They rarely dominate maps, but they shape daily life more than any skyline. A name with an older story. One more piece of history hides behind the city's name. Kelowna comes from the Syilx Okanagan language, roughly meaning grizzly bear. Long before the modern city appeared, indigenous people lived throughout the Okanagan Valley. They traveled the lake, fished its waters, and moved through seasonal routes across the landscape. Modern Kelowna sits on land with a much older story beneath it. Maps sometimes hint at that story. They rarely show it fully. A city shaped by simple forces. When you step back and look at this map, the structure of Kelowna becomes clear. One lake, one valley, a grid downtown. Hills pushing from the east, commerce lining the highway. Cities often look complicated, but their logic is usually simple. Water attracts people, roads organize them, and geography keeps everyone humble. Kelowna is no exception, and the map tells that story quietly if you give it a moment. Thank you for watching and listening. If you want a custom map developed for your business or personal needs, reach out to Maps&Locations.com and we'll help you craft the perfect map for your desires. Thank you for watching and look out for the next one. Also, do like and share and subscribe, because if you want to keep watching more of these, I'm going to be doing daily map narratives from here onwards. Thank you again.